Welcome, dear friends, to the enchanting world of words, the Millennium Library. Here, memories take us back to warm nights where grandmothers and mothers wove the most wonderful tales. Our only wish now is for you to listen, to dive deep into the heart of the stories that shaped our minds and souls. We have embarked on this unique project, the Millennium Library, to gather for you a treasure trove of timeless novels and stories, and present them to you with voices full of warmth and sweetness. It is a legacy we are creating together between humanity and artificial intelligence to remain a testament to the power of words and the magic of storytelling throughout the ages. We hope you find in it what delights your souls and enriches your imagination. If this work touches your hearts, we would be delighted if you share it with your loved ones. And remember, your support lies in liking this segment and leaving your comments which illuminate our path. We are here to grow by you and with you. With sincere regards from the Millennium Library. The Boy Who Was Changed into a Dog. Once upon a time there were 7 brothers. The 6 eldest were married, but the youngest was only a youth and looked after the cattle. The 6 married brothers spent their life in hunting and used often to be away from home for 1 or 2 months at a time. Now all their 6 wives were witches, and directly their husbands left home, the 6 women used to climb a peepul tree and ride away on it to eat men or do some other devilry. The youngest brother saw them disappear every day and made up his mind to find out what they did. So one morning he hid in a hollow in the trunk of the peepul tree and waited till his sisters in law came and climbed up into the branches. Then the tree rose up and was carried through the air to the banks of a large river, where the women climbed down and disappeared. After a time they came back and climbed into the tree and rode on it back to the place where it came from. But as they descended, they saw their brother in law hiding in the trunk, and at first they tried to make him promise not to tell what he had seen. But he swore that he would let his brothers know all about it. So then they thought of killing him. But in the end, the eldest said that this was not necessary, and she fetched 2 iron nails and drove them into the soles of his feet, whereupon he at once became a dog. He could understand all that was said, but of course could not speak. He followed them home, and they treated him well, and always gave him a regular helping at meals, as if he were a human being, and did not merely throw him the scraps as if he were a dog, nor would he have eaten them if they had. A month afterwards, the other brothers came home and asked if all had gone well in their absence. Their wives said that all was well, except that the youngest brother had unfortunately disappeared without leaving any trace. While they were talking, the dog came up and fawned on the brothers, so they asked where it had come from, and the women said that it had followed them home on the day that they were looking for the missing boy, and they had kept it ever since. So matters rested. The brothers searched high and low, but could not find the missing boy, and so gave up the quest. Now the Rajah of that country had 3 daughters, whom he had tried in vain to get married. Whenever a bridegroom was proposed to them, they declared that he was not to their liking, and they would have nothing to do with him. At last their father said that as they would not let him choose husbands for them, they must make the choice themselves. He proposed to assemble all the men in his kingdom on a certain day, and there and then they must take to themselves husbands. So proclamation was made that all the men were to assemble outside the palace, and that 3 of them would receive the Rajah's daughters in marriage without having to pay any bride price. On the fixed day, a great crowd collected, and among others went the 6 brothers, and the dog followed them. Then the 3 princesses were brought out, and 3 flies were caught. Round one fly was tied a piece of white thread for the eldest princess, and round the second fly a red thread for the second princess, and round the last fly a blue thread for the youngest princess. Then the 3 princesses solemnly promised that each would marry the man on whom the fly marked with her color settled, and the flies were let loose. The red fly and the blue fly soon settled on 2 of the men sitting in the crowd, but the white fly flew high in the air and circled round and at last settled on the dog, which was sitting beside the 6 brothers. At this the crowd laughed and jeered, but the eldest princess said that she must accept what fate had decreed, and that she would marry the dog. So the betrothal ceremony of the 3 princesses took place at once, soon followed by their weddings. The husbands of the 2 youngest princesses took their brides home, but the eldest princess stayed in her father's house with her dog. One day after its dinner, the dog was lying on its side asleep, and the princess chanced to see the heads of the iron nails in its feet. "Ah," thought she, "that is why the poor dog limps." So she ran and fetched a pair of pincers and pulled out the nails. No sooner had she done so than the dog was restored to its human shape, and the princess was delighted to find that not only was he a man, but also very handsome. And they settled down to live happily together. Some months later, the 6 brothers resolved to go and visit the Rajah, so that the princess might not feel that the dog she had married had no friends in the world. Off they set, and when they reached the Rajah's palace, they were amazed to find their younger brother, and still more so when they heard the story of all that had happened to him. They immediately decided to take vengeance on their wives, and when they reached home, gave orders for a large well to be dug. When it was ready, they told their wives to join in the consecration ceremony, which was to ensure a pure and plentiful supply of water. So the 6 witches went to the well, and while their attention was occupied, their husbands pushed them all into the well and filled it up with earth. And that was the end of the witches. XCIV. Birluri and Birbanta. Birluri was of the Goala caste, and Birbanta of the oilman's caste. And this is the story of their fight. Birluri was very rich, with great herds of cattle and buffaloes, but Birbanta's wealth consisted in tanks and ponds. Birluri used every day to water his cattle at Birbanta's ponds, and this made Birbanta very angry. He felt it an injustice that though Birluri was so rich, he would not dig his own ponds. So he sent word that Berluri must stop watering his cattle or he would be killed. Berluri answered the messengers that he was quite ready to fight Berbanta. For though Berbanta had made the tanks, it was God who had made the water in them. And so he considered that his cattle had a perfect right to drink the water. When Berbanta heard this, he fell into a rage and vowed that he would not let the cattle drink, but would kill every living thing that went down to the water. From that day, he let no one drink from his tanks. When women went to draw water, he used to smash their water pots and put the rims round their necks like necklaces. All wild birds and animals he shot, and the cattle and buffaloes he cut down with his axe, and at last he proceeded to kill any human beings who went there. When the Rajah of the country heard this, he was very angry, and bade his Sipahis search for someone strong enough to overcome and kill Berbanta. And he promised as a reward the hand of one of his daughters and half his kingdom. So the Sipahis made proclamation all through the country, and at last Berluri heard of it and volunteered to fight Berbanta. Then the Rajah fixed a day for the fight, so that all the country might know, and Berbanta also have due warning. Both the combatants made ready for the fray. Berbanta was armed with a sword and a shield like a cartwheel, and was skillful at sword play, while Berluri's weapon was the quarterstaff. The day arrived, and Berluri girded up his loins and set out, twirling his staff round his head. Now his father and mother were both dead, but on the road his mother met him in the guise of an old woman, so that he did not recognize her. She greeted him and asked where he was going, and when she heard that it was to fight Berbanta, she said, "My son, you are very strong, but if he asks for water, do not give it him. For if you do, he will assuredly kill you. But when he throws away his sword, do you make haste and take it and slay him." So saying, she went on her way, and when Birluri came within a close of the fighting place, he began to twirl his staff, and he made such a cloud of dust that it became dark as night, and in the darkness the staff gleamed like lightning. When Birbanta saw this, he rose up and shouted, "Here comes my enemy. I will fight my best, and we will see who will conquer." And when he saw Beluri armed only with a quarterstaff, he felt sure that he would not be overcome by such a weapon. So he grasped his sword and took his shield on his arm and went out to the fight. The fray was fast and furious. Berbanta hacked and hacked with his sword, but Berluri caught all the blows on his quarterstaff and took no injury. At last the end of the staff was hacked off, leaving a sharp point. Then Berluri transfixed Berbanta with the pointed end, and Berbanta faltered. Again he thrust him through, and Berbanta acknowledged himself defeated, saying, "My life is yours. Let me drink some water at your hands before you kill me." So Berluri agreed to a truce, and they stopped fighting. Then Berluri cut down a palm tree and dipped it into Berbanta's tank, and holding out the end to Berbanta, told him to suck it. Berbanta refused to take it, and asked him to give him water in his hands. But Berluri remembered his mother's warning and refused. Then Birbanta, in despair, threw away his sword and shield, and Berluri snatched up the sword and smote off his head. And this is the song of victory which Berluri sang. Birbanta stopped the ghat for the golden oxen. The dust is raised up to heaven. Birbanta sat by the ghat of the oxen. The lightning is flashing in the sky. He has made an embankment. He has made a tank. But the water he collected in it has become his enemy. Then Birluri was taken to the Raja and married to one of the Raja's daughters, and given one half of the Raja's kingdom. After a time, Birluri told his wife that they must go back to his home to look after the large herds of cattle which he had left behind him. But his wife laughed at him and would not believe that he owned so much property. Then Birluri said that if she would not go with him, he would call the cattle to come to him. So he called them all by name, and the great herd came running to the Raja's palace and filled the whole barnyard, and as there was no room for them to stay there, they went away into the jungle and became wild cattle. The killing of the Rakas. Once upon a time, a certain country was ravaged by a Rakas to such an extent that there were only the Raja and a few ryots left. When things came to this pass, the Raja saw that something must be done, for he could not be left alone in the land. Ryots need a Raja, and a Raja needs ryots. If he had no riots, where was he to get money for his support? And he repeated the verse of the poet Kalidas. When the jungle is destroyed, the deer are in trouble without jungle. When the Raja is destroyed, the riots are in trouble without their Raja. When the good wife of the house is destroyed, good fortune flees away. So, thinking, the Raja made a proclamation throughout all the land that if any one could kill the Rakas, he would reward him with the hand of one of his daughters and half his kingdom. This proclamation was read out by the headman of a certain village to the assembled villagers, and among the crowd was a mischievous youth named Jalka, who, when he heard the proclamation, called out that he could kill the Rakas in 10 minutes. The villagers turned on him. Why don't you go and do so? Then you would marry the Raja's daughter, and we should all bow down to you. At the thought of this, Jalka began to skip about crying, I will finish him off in no time. The headman heard him and took him at his word, and wrote to the Raja that in his village there was a man who undertook to kill the Rakas. When Jalka heard this, he hurried to the headman and explained that he had only been joking. I cannot treat such things as a joke, answered the headman. Don't you know that this is a Raja's matter? To deal with Rajas is the same as to deal with Bongas. You may make a promise to the Bongas in jest, but they will not let you off it on that plea. You are much too fond of playing the fool. 10 or 12 days later, Sipahis came from the Raja to fetch Jalka. He told them that he had only spoken in jest and did not want to go to the Raja, but they took him away all the same. Before he started, he picked out a well-tempered battle axe and begged his father to propitiate the Bongas and pray that he might be saved from the Rakas. When he was produced before the Raja, Jalka again tried to explain that there had been a mistake. But the Raja told him that he would be taken at his word and must go and kill the Rakas. Then he saw that there was nothing left for him but to put his trust in God. So he asked that he might be given 2 mirrors and a large box. And when these were brought, he had the box taken to the foot of a large banyan tree, which grew by a ford in the river, which flowed by the hill in which the Rakas lived. It was at this ford that the Rakas used to lie in wait for prey. Left alone there, Jalka put one of the mirrors into the box, and then tightened his cloth and climbed the banyan tree with his battle axe and the other mirror. He was not at all happy as he waited for the Rakas, thinking of all the people who had been killed as they passed along the road below the tree. However, he was determined to outwit the Rakas if he could. All night long he watched in vain, but just at dawn the Rakas appeared. At the sight of him, Jalka shook so much with fright that the branches of the tree swayed. The Rakas smelt that there was a human being about, and looking up into the tree, saw the branches waving. "Ha!" said he, "here is my breakfast." Jalka retorted, "Ha! Here is another Rakas to match those I have got." "What are you talking about?" asked the Rakas. "I am glad to have met you," at last returned Jalka. "Why?" asked the Rakas, "and what are you trembling for?" "I am trembling with rage. We shall now see whether I am to eat you or you are to eat me. Come down and try." "No, you come up here and try." Jalka would not leave the tree, and the Rakas would not climb it, so they waited. At last the Rakas asked, "Who are you? I have seen 1,000 men like you." And Jalka answered, "Who are you? I have seen 1,000 like you." At this, the Rakas began to hesitate and wonder whether Jalka was really his equal in strength. So he changed the subject and asked what the big box was. "That is the box into which I put Rakases like you when I catch them. I have got plenty more at home." "How many are there in the box? 2 or 3?" The Rakas asked to see them, but Jalka would not leave the tree until the Rakas had sworn an oath to do him no harm. Then he came down and opened the box, and made the Rakas look into the mirror inside the box, and he also held up the second mirror, saying that there was another Rakas. The Rakas was fascinated at the sight of his own reflection. When he grinned or opened his mouth, the reflection did the same. And while he was amusing himself with making different grimaces, Jolka suddenly cut him down with the battle axe, and he fell down dead. Then Jalka cut off the ears and tongue and toes, and hastened with them to the Rajah. When it was found that the Rakas was really dead, the Rajah assembled all his subjects, and in their presence married Jalka to his daughter, and made over to him half the kingdom, and gave him horses and elephants, and half of everything in his palace. Conclusion of our journey. And so, we reach the conclusion of our journey for today, within the unending worlds of words and the never folding pages of knowledge. We have spent an enjoyable and beneficial time together within the embrace of Millennium Library, where voices meet tales and a new cultural legacy is forged. We hope you have enjoyed every moment and delved deeply into the dimensions of the story or novel we presented to you. Always remember that this grand edifice, Millennium Library, is the result of a unique collaboration between human creativity and the profound depth of artificial intelligence. Our goal is to enrich your ears and minds with the treasures of world literature and to make knowledge accessible to everyone, while preserving the ownership rights of Millennium Library for this distinctive production. Don't forget to follow us and activate the notification bell to receive all new content. And share this podcast with everyone around you, for knowledge is light, and together we illuminate the paths. Until we meet again in a future episode and a new literary adventure, may you be in the care and keeping of Allah, and within the realm of immortal words. Millennium Library, where tales are embodied, knowledge is narrated, and creativity is immortalized.